Welcome back, Mando.
Oh, greetings once again, Bucketheads. Mavar Tagar. This is the Mandovision Podcast. I am your host, Nargai Tom. Thank you so much for being here for another special Bantha Tracks bonus episode of the show. Make sure you're following us on those socials at Mando_Vision on Twitter /X and Instagram, Mandovision at Blue Sky. And you can email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share the show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. Bucketheads, like I said, it's a Bantha Tracks bonus episode. I have finally completed watching Volume 3 of Star Wars Visions, and we're here to talk a little bit about it. It's not going to be a full-blown, in-depth deconstruction of all 9 chapters in this volume of Visions for Volume 3, and that's for the simple reason while I do feel infinitely qualified to talk to you guys about Star Wars and my thoughts and feelings on Star Wars, I do not feel very qualified to talk about anime. It is not a strong point of mine. I don't know much about the animation styles. I know even less about the studios involved in the projects. But they're doing Star Wars stuff, and that's exciting for us. And I know Visions isn't everyone's flavor of ice cream. But that's okay. It exists out there. It's for us to watch and consume as we see fit. I do believe there are certain episodes in this volume that might speak to you more than others. And we're going to talk about them. So, that being said, let's just go ahead. I think it's time. We'll just dive right into it. But you know what we have to do first? That's right, it's time. Strap on your buckets. Let's go.
Get out of here. We'll hold them off. You're going to have to relocate the covert. This is the way. This is the way.
All right, so first things first, a little public disclaimer. You may hear a lot of background noise today. I am recording this prior to heading into work, so you might hear washing machines, you might hear refrigerators humming, you might hear more of that worker man stuff going on outside of my complex as work continues on the surrounding areas around my place. So apologies for that. I'll do my best to minimize that in post. We'll see how we can make it play out. All right, so we got 9 new installments of Star Wars Visions Volume 3, and I think the first thing you need to know about this set of animation episodes is that there's 3 episodes that connect 2 episodes from Volume 1, and I knew there was at least one sequelized episode in this batch. I was surprised that there was 2 more, because I would have gone back to rewatch these episodes because I didn't really remember them. So that being said, the ones that are sequels, of course, we saw it in the trailer. There's a new episode of The Duel. This one's called The Duel Payback. We also have a new installment of The Ninth Jedi. This is called Child of Hope. And the one that threw me for the biggest loop was The Lost Ones, which is a follow-up to The Village Bride, which I completely blanked on. And spend most of the time watching that episode, trying to remember the events of the first installment. But I tried not to let that distract me too much. I do want to read the studios involved in all these projects because for people who are more versed in the world of anime, these studios are a big deal. And so we like to give credit where credit is due here on Mandovision. So, The Duel Payback, done by Kamikaze Duga / Anima. The Song of Four Wings, Project Studio Q. The Ninth Jedi, Child of Hope is production IG. The Bounty Hunters by Wit Studio. Yuko's Treasure by Kinema Citrus Co. They also did The Lost Ones. Smuggler by Trigger. The Bird of Paradise by Polygon Pictures. And Black by David Production. And if memory serves, most of these studios have been involved in prior episodes of Star Wars Visions. These all came out like last Friday, I believe. I think it was the 29th of October, right before Halloween. And listen, like I said, there's a lot of installments throughout the 3 volumes of Visions that aren't necessarily my cup of tea. But I definitely think in this volume, I really enjoyed consistently the animation quality throughout. And then the last episode, Black, is just crazy animation. It's like this weird psychedelic style that if you are looking for an experience more than a Star Wars story, I would check out Black. I do think that one might be up your alley. It's very psychedelic. It's very sort of a lot of movement, train of thought, sort of. You're experiencing tragedy through the eyes of an Imperial soldier and sort of through his psyche. So a very, very different viewing experience, not like linear storytelling as most of these are attuned to. I will say my favorite was definitely the sequel to The Duel. I did really, really enjoy it. I thought that one I love that style of animation that they're using in that. I love the black and white, the way they incorporate the shadows, the red sabers. They do get a little carried away with the lightsabers. I'm not going to lie. They go a little nuts. But that episode has so many unique visual things to it. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched them just yet, but there is a really great lightsaber battle on something that you know and love, but maybe you never envisioned a lightsaber battle in that fashion before. Very, very neat. I do like the story of the Ronin. I don't know if anyone has taken the time to read that novelization that came out, sort of expanding the world of the Ronin. I don't think it's necessarily required reading to watch this episode. I don't even know if they consider it to be like officially part of his canon. But that's the first episode in this volume, and I did really, really like it. And for the most part, if I were to rank the episodes of Volume 3 to me, I mean, they kind of play out in the order of viewing in many, many senses. So there was something that I liked in almost all of them, but there were things I didn't like in almost all of them as well. The Song of Four Wings I thought was fun. I thought it was a really fun way to incorporate like a lot of Japanese anime traditions. There is something that happens with an astromech droid and an X-Wing fighter in this that I thought was pretty cool, but it's also very heavily, anime. And if you're not into that, that's not going to be your cup of tea. That's not going to be your flavor of Star Wars ice cream, if you will. But I think it's an exciting episode. I think it's got a lot of fun, and it's got some cute factor to it, which I'm always a fan of. We talked about how the Ninth Jedi is Child of Hope is a sequel to an episode from the first volume, and it's solid. I wish I'd remembered more about that first episode with the Jedi F, but I didn't. And I have not yet had the time to go back to kind of connect the dots. Bounty Hunters from Wit Studio was an interesting tale. It was sort of story-wise, there wasn't a lot of new ground to be covered with the story, but I did very much like her droid partner in it, voiced by Ronnie Ching. If you're watching it in with English vocals, my goodness, I am having a hard time articulating today. I'm sorry, friends. Yugo's Treasure and The Lost Ones, both by Kinema Citrus Co. I did enjoy. I think they're good. They're very solid. They weren't necessarily, high on my bar of things, but there's a lot of neat little things in there. Steve Buscemi does one of the voices. Again, the animation is very, very interesting. I love the way the use of droids in these in a lot of these arcs. The bear droid, that was very, very interesting too. I enjoyed that more than I thought I would. I thought that was just gonna be like a silly thing at first, but actually enjoyed that quite a bit. One of the things that they do well in this volume, I think, is the incorporation of a lot of familiar iconography, right? Like, seeing Tatooine, but it's a slightly different Tatooine than we're used to. The Ronin chapter does a really great job of blending the samurai world and the world of Star Wars together, which is one reason why I find it so visually interesting to go back to that world and to see those familiar Star Wars elements in a samurai film. It's I find that visually stimulating. I like that one quite a bit. One of the episodes I wanted to talk about was The Bird of Paradise, because this one by Polygon Pictures has some very dynamic animation, very fluid animation. And initially, when I began watching the episode, I was not caring for it. I did not care for our main character, but the character grows through this 20-minute arc of this little mini adventure, and I found myself very much enjoying this and the character development that she experiences after being defeated by a Sith. So don't sleep on that one. It's got some fun animation to it. It's one of the few that sort of explores the spirituality of the Force and confronting one's own inner demons to become a better person, to be, in this case, a better Jedi. So I did very much enjoy that aspect of it. And then, like I talked about with Black, Black is wild. That's all I can say about it. It's this crazy, wild jazz fusion of psychedelic animation as we relive the tragic events of a stormtrooper and the death of his friends and comrades at the hands of Rebel Alliance, which is a perspective we don't see very often in any form of Star Wars storytelling. So it is one that I think is of note. If you're looking for something a little bit different, for something a little bit out of the box, a little out of the norm as far as your Star Wars animation storytelling goes. Yeah, like I said, I think I kind of hit on all of them. I didn't talk about the Smuggler that much. The Smuggler was maybe my least favorite, just because, well, I don't, it's fine. It's totally fine. There's fun stuff in there. I just felt that it was a little basic, and I don't know. Like I said, there is something for everyone in Star Wars Visions. I do recommend at least watching a few minutes of each one to see what you can connect with, to resonate with. Star Wars Visions is one of those projects that has been sort of embraced, but is somewhat still controversial because not everyone likes these wildly divergent ideas that a lot of the Vision stories incorporate. Last year, Visions Volume 2, I thought, did a lot more wild ideas. This one kind of comes back to center a little bit. So, again, a lot more familiar trappings of Star Wars that we know, for better or worse, depending on how you felt about Visions Volume 1 versus Volume 2. Again, not every flavor will be for you, but I do recommend skipping around and finding the one that kind of connects. If you're like me, you're gonna check them all out just because you want to see what the different droids look like. They do a lot of fun stuff with droids in these animations, and that's because Japan, they love robots, right? So why wouldn't they do a lot of cool visuals with some really neat looking droids? And I think that's all I have to say about these. Check it out. It is a solid. I would rate Volume 3 of Visions. I think I'd give it 7 buckets. There's a lot there to like. A few things I'm like, I don't need to watch that one again. But enough that I'm glad I saw it in the first place to kind of see what these visions of Star Wars are. Because again, I like the fact that we live in a world where we can have a lot of different flavors of Star Wars, and I don't have to like every single one, but they're out there for me to try, and that's a good thing. So yeah, 7 buckets for Volume 3. Check it out when you can, and let me know what you think. Hit me up on those socials, Mando_Vision, Twitter /X, Insta, MandoVision at Blue Sky. And, of course, you can email the show with your long-form thoughts at mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share this show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. Bucketheads will be back next week with another exciting installment of our Star Wars Rebels rewatch. We got a big one coming up. We got a big 2 coming up, honestly. Like, the next 2 episodes of the Star Wars Rebels rewatch are going to be fantastic. And I can't wait to talk to you guys about those episodes. So stay tuned. Thank you all for the continued support. You guys are all the best. Buckethead Nation continues to be the best fandom within the Star Wars fandom out there on the internet. Thank you guys for the support. We will be back. Go out there, be kind, supportive, nurturing, understanding, and respectful Star Wars fans, because those are the best Star Wars fans. And remember, we're going to be back next week. You won't have to wait long. So, remember, this podcast can only end one way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
I suppose you'll be heading out.
I'm not.
You should.
It's against the creed. I gave you my word. I'm with you until we both fall.
You really buy into that Bantha fodder?
I do.
Good.